Harley-Davidson sales just crashed 21% this quarter. Livewire, their electric gamble, barely moved 33 bikes and burned through $20 million. Overall, U.S. motorcycle sales have plunged nearly 9% this year alone. This isn't just a slowdown, it's collapse in real time. These motorcycle brands will collapse in 2025 isn't a wild headline. It's the reality unfolding right now. But which legendary name is burning the fastest and who won't survive? The facts are blunt, but the reasons no one wants to talk about are even darker. Let's see who's next, because some icons may not make it out of this year. Harley-Davidson's numbers for the first quarter of 2025 read like an obituary. Shipments fell off a cliff, dropping from 57,700 bikes this time last year to just 38,600, a gut-wrenching 33% collapse. That's not a blip. That's an entire factory's worth of bikes vanishing from the road. Revenue followed, sliding from $1.73 billion to $1.32 billion, a 23% loss in just 3 months. The company's own forecast pulled off the table. When a brand that spent a century selling freedom and steel starts dodging questions about the future, you know the crisis isn't just brewing, it's already here. Dealers are feeling the pain at ground zero. Showrooms are jammed, not with eager buyers, but with unsold inventory stacking up week after week. Over 60,000 new motorcycles, Harleys included, are sitting in U.S. dealerships, some gathering dust for nearly 300 days. That's cash locked up, not moving, while floor plan interest charges keep piling on. For the dealers, every unsold bike is a liability, bleeding them dry. It's not just about units sitting still. The financial fallout is brutal. Repossession rates for motorcycles are up nearly 30% compared to last year, and Harley's high sticker prices are a big reason why. With interest rates for new bikes hovering between 9 and 11%, buyers are staring down monthly payments that look more like car loans. $500, $600, sometimes more. For what? A machine that spends most of its life in the garage, waiting for a sunny weekend. When even die-hard fans can't swing the payments, it's no wonder bikes are being returned to lenders in record numbers. This isn't just a seasonal dip or a rough patch. Harley's first quarter shipment drop is the worst in over a decade. The company's revenue slide is sharper than anything seen since the Great Recession. And with no guidance for the rest of the year, Wall Street is left guessing how much deeper this hole can get. Meanwhile, the company is slashing production, but it's not enough. Dealers are still overloaded, and the pipeline is jammed. Harley-Davidson's financial freefall isn't just about missed numbers. It's a warning shot for the whole industry. If the most iconic name in American motorcycling can't keep bikes moving out the door, what hope do the rest have? The numbers don't lie. This isn't a slowdown. It's a reckoning. Harley-Davidson's crisis runs deeper than red ink on a balance sheet. The real problem is sitting in plain sight. Just look at the showroom floor. The average Harley buyer is now pushing 50, and the company's own data shows nearly 2/3 of their revenue comes from men over 35. That's not a pipeline, that's a ticking clock. Millennials and Gen Z, they're not buying the dream. They're swiping past it, looking for something that fits their lives, their wallets, and their values. Harley's answer was to chase the future with Livewire, their big electric gamble. Instead, it's become the poster child for everything the brand can't get right. In the first quarter of 2025, Livewire sold 33 bikes. Not 3,300, 33. That's one bike every 3 days across the entire country. The financial fallout is just as ugly. Livewire lost $20 million on those sales, which means the company burned through over $600,000 for every single electric bike that left the lot. That's not a loss leader, that's lighting money on fire. Harley spun off Livewire hoping to prove they could win with new tech, but it's turned into proof that their core customers aren't interested, and the next generation isn't biting. Meanwhile, the price of a new Harley sits in luxury car territory, but the tech under the tank hasn't moved much since the last time gas was under $2 a gallon. The Street Glide sticker price can clear $25,000, and that's before you factor in insurance, maintenance, and the mountain of gear. For a lot of younger riders, the math just doesn't work. Harley's built a business on nostalgia, but nostalgia doesn't pay the bills when your audience is aging out and the new crowd is looking elsewhere. Dealers are feeling it too. The sense of community, the culture that made Harley feel like a tribe, is thinning out. With every dealership closure, another gathering spot disappears, and the brand's grip slips a little more. The numbers look bad, but the real damage is cultural. Harley isn't just losing sales, it's losing relevance. When your future depends on selling a past that fewer people remember, every quarter feels like a countdown. Now let's talk about the brands everyone thought would pounce when Harley stumbled: Indian and Suzuki. You'd think with Harley's numbers in free fall, Indian would be cashing in, right? Not even close. Indian's global sales have dropped for 4 straight years. In 2025, registrations slid another 12%. Their big gamble, the FTR lineup, the one bike that actually turned heads, got axed in late 2024. No press release, no send-off, just a footnote in Polaris's earnings report. That's how much confidence they had left. So what's left? A brand that can't decide if it wants to out-Harley or break away with something new. Heritage cruisers with chrome and fringe, or modern sport bikes with flat-track swagger? Indian's marketing can't pick a lane, and buyers can smell the confusion. Overseas, the story's even rougher. Indian's dealer network is a skeleton crew outside North America. In Europe, sales are down nearly 10%. Good luck finding someone to fix your Scout if you break down in Spain. Meanwhile, Suzuki's fade-out is almost silent. No drama, no headlines, just fewer bikes leaving the showroom every month. Their legendary Hayabusa, once the apex predator of the sport bike world, now sits at $19,000 new. But with 5-year-old models trading for $10,000 or less, who's lining up to pay full price? Suzuki's lineup is stuck in the middle. Neither premium enough to pull in big spenders, nor cheap enough to win over first-timers. The result? Dealers quietly dropping Suzuki, inventory gathering dust, and a brand that's fading from relevance without so much as a bang. So while Harley's collapse grabs the spotlight, Indian and Suzuki are proving that you can't just show up and expect to win. The market's not handing out participation trophies. If you can't tell buyers who you are or why they should care, you're just another name on a shrinking list. BMW built its motorcycle reputation on German engineering and adventure dreams. But in 2025, even the kings of the Autobahn are running out of road. Their prized GS Adventure series now starts at $22,000. And that's before you tick any boxes. Add a few options, and you're shopping in the same price bracket as a new luxury sedan. For a motorcycle, the GS family isn't just a core product for BMW, it's a lifeline, accounting for nearly a third of their global sales. But that lifeline is fraying fast. Buyers who stretched to finance a GS in 2023 or 2024 are now staring at monthly payments that rival rent, all while watching their bikes lose value at a pace nobody saw coming. The used market is flooded, and depreciation is hitting hard. Ducati, meanwhile, has always played the exclusivity card: Italian design, MotoGP pedigree, and price tags meant to make jaws drop. But that strategy is backfiring. In today's market, a new Panigale or Multistrada can lose 25 to 30% of its value in less than 2 years. That's not depreciation. That's robbery disguised as ownership. Wealthy enthusiasts who once lined up for the next red rocket are now thinking twice, if they're thinking at all. Dealers who never used to haggle are suddenly dangling discounts and promo cash just to move inventory. For a brand that built its identity on being untouchable, seeing Panigales and Diavels sitting unsold is an omen. Even the so-called bulletproof segment, premium adventure and sport, can't escape the gravity of this downturn. BMW and Ducati are learning that when buyers get spooked, luxury badges and racing heritage only go so far. When the world's most desirable motorcycles start gathering dust, it's a sign that no one is safe. Not even the brands that once seemed recession-proof. Honda's reputation was built on one promise: reliability you could actually afford. That's not the story in 2025. The Africa Twin, once a go-to adventure bike for riders who wanted capability without a luxury tax, now starts at over $16,000. That's a $3,000 jump in just a few years. Add in dealer fees, taxes, and mandatory accessories, and you're staring at a bill that used to buy you a Goldwing, not a mid-weight dual sport. For a lot of would-be riders, that price tag is where the dream ends. The real gut punch comes at the entry level. Honda's bread and butter has always been first-time buyers, the folks who just want a dependable ride without a second mortgage. But now, thanks to sky-high interest rates and lenders tightening up, even those buyers are getting shut out. 1 in 5 loan applications is denied outright. The ones who do get approved are looking at payments north of $250 a month just to get on a basic bike. That's before you even talk insurance. Yamaha used to own the sweet spot between value and excitement. The MT-07 and MT-09 were the bikes you recommended to anyone who wanted fun without breaking the bank. Not anymore. The 2025 MT-07? $8,599. The MT-09? $10,799. And that's before dealer markups or the pile of fees that have become standard practice. Meanwhile, the used market is flooded. Bikes that sold for $12,000 2 years ago are now sitting at $7,500, and dealers still can't move them. Even with $1,000 factory rebates and desperate discounting, inventory is piling up. The middle ground is gone. If you're not paying cash, you're probably not riding. Mainstream brands like Honda and Yamaha were supposed to be the safe bet, the bikes you could always count on. In 2025, even the safe bets are out of reach. The foundation that kept the whole industry stable, it's cracking wide open. Innovation was supposed to be the motorcycle industry's last lifeline. But in 2025, even the brands betting big on tech are running out of road. KTM, the European powerhouse that once bragged about outselling Harley, landed in court, staring down 2.9 billion euros in debt. That's not a typo. Creditors lined up for their piece with claims topping 2.25 billion euros. The company had to beg for a 600 million euro emergency loan just to keep the lights on. Employees went unpaid, suppliers got stiffed, and KTM's global operations shrank by over 1,800 jobs. Production lines sat idle for months while the company scrambled to convince a judge and a room full of angry bankers that 30 cents on the euro was better than nothing. The only thing that saved them? A last-minute bailout from Bajaj, their Indian partner, who wired in enough cash to keep the doors from slamming shut. Even then, KTM had to promise to slash output, dump its entire e-bike business, and hope that loyal fans would still be waiting when the dust settled. But KTM isn't the only so-called innovator left gasping for air. Norton, the British brand that once dreamed of electric superbike glory, pulled the plug after burning through £8.5 million in government funding. Their prototype drew headlines, but when it came time to actually build bikes, the demand just wasn't there. The CEO didn't sugarcoat it. The demand has been bad. That's after years of hype and taxpayer cash down the drain. Meanwhile, Zero Motorcycles, America's poster child for electric two-wheelers, can't move inventory either. The FXE, priced at $11,000, sits in showrooms for nearly a year. Range anxiety still scares off buyers, and with gas prices stable, nobody's eager to pay more for less bike. The reality is, the industry's tech gamble isn't paying off. Electric dreams are being mothballed, not mass-produced. The brands that were supposed to lead the next revolution are now just fighting to survive. If KTM, with its racing pedigree and global reach, can barely scrape by, what hope is left for the rest? Innovation isn't saving anyone. It's just another bill coming due. Repossession trucks are working overtime in 2025. Nearly 30% more bikes are being hauled away compared to last year. That's thousands of riders who thought they could swing the payments, now watching their motorcycles disappear into the back of a flatbed. It's not just a lost toy, it's a credit hit, a broken promise, and a hobby turned into a headache. For some, it's the last straw in a year full of financial gut punches. Showroom floors are starting to look like graveyards. Over 60,000 new motorcycles, Harleys, Indians, Yamahas, you name it, are sitting unsold in US dealerships. Some have been parked for almost 300 days. Dealers are paying interest on every one of those bikes month after month with no end in sight. Floor plan financing racks up $200, $300, $400 per unit every single month. Multiply that by dozens of bikes, and you've got dealers drowning in red ink before they even switch on the lights. All that locked up cash means something's got to give. 47 dealerships closed their doors in the last 30 days alone. That's more than one every single day. These aren't just businesses. They're community anchors, family legacies. The places where riders once gathered for weekend coffee runs or wrench nights, now the lights are off, the signs are down, and another piece of riding culture vanishes for good. And it's not just the owners feeling the pain. Every closure means mechanics out of work, parts guys looking for new gigs, and riders left with nowhere to get their bikes serviced. The ripple effect is brutal. When a dealership goes under, it's not just inventory that gets liquidated. It's a whole web of relationships and local knowledge, gone in a flash. Meanwhile, lenders are tightening the screws. 1 in 5 loan applications gets denied. If you're not walking in with perfect credit, you're probably walking out empty-handed. For the folks who do get approved, the payments are crushing. And one bad month can mean losing your bike and your good name. The repo wave isn't just a statistic. It's a warning that the dream is slipping out of reach for more and more people. This is what collapse looks like at street level. Not just numbers on a spreadsheet, but real people losing rides, losing jobs, and losing the places that made riding feel like a community. The industry's unraveling isn't just about brands or balance sheets, it's about lives put on hold, passions cut short, and a whole way of life fading out, one repo and one shuttered dealership at a time. Harley-Davidson reported a 21% drop in retail sales for the first quarter of 2025, while its LiveWire subsidiary sold just 33 bikes with a $20 million loss. Across the industry, repossessions rose by 28% year over year, and 1 in 5 motorcycle loan applications were denied. Brands once considered untouchable, BMW, Ducati, Honda, and Indian, now face shrinking sales, soaring prices, and rapid depreciation, as documented in financial filings and dealer reports. The electric motorcycle sector, once hailed as the future, is now marked by project cancellations and persistent losses. Despite all this evidence, the long-term fate of these brands remains uncertain, with company executives keeping many restructuring plans confidential. What is clear, the collapse isn't limited to a single company or a passing trend. It's a systemic crisis, reshaping the entire motorcycle landscape. For riders, dealers, and manufacturers, the facts point to a new reality, one where survival can no longer be taken for granted.